What's up, guys? It's your boy, and today we are talking about a great movie that covers some pretty heavy topics. So if you are the type that may be a little weary of some heavier topics, specifically relating to people with disability and kind of the struggles that they face on both an individual level and on a fitting in, like, societal level, this might not be the video for you, but I assure you, if you are here for these topics, I am going to look at them from both a personal and academic standpoint and give some insight after having seen the movie and really enjoying it. So, if you stick around and you like the content, please consider liking and subscribing, and let's go ahead and get straight into the content. What movie am I talking about? Well, you've probably already read the title, and that movie is A Silent Voice. I saw it in cinemas for the first time, and let me just say, it was one of only 2 movies that I've ever seen in a cinema that has gotten applause when it ended. The other one was Frozen. Now, that was before the entire, Elsa toy lines and stuff, and people went nuts over it. It was like opening night of Frozen, and people really enjoyed it. I'm going to speak about A Silent Voice, and I'm going to do it in a broad sense because, well, for the most part, it's because my editor has not seen this movie yet. He calls himself an anime fan. And I personally really enjoyed it, and I had to talk about it. But I'll do so in a more broad sense without spoilers, so that you guys, whether you've seen it or not, can enjoy this video. So I want to start by saying that I personally have some experience with somebody who has a disability. It's not a physical disability, but it rather is a mental one, but it kind of covers the same topic that A Silent Voice covers just so well. And that is the importance of belonging, the importance of fitting in a group of people. In fact, I found an article online that talked about fitting in the environment of higher education, from a college level. It's called Student Belonging, the Impact of Disability Status Within and Between Academic Institutions. Bit of a long title there. But we're going to start with this quote because I think that it gives a good summation of why it's important to fit in. It says, "A sense of belonging, a feeling of fitting in, and being a valued part of a community is generally recognized as essential for our psychological well-being. In a higher education or college context, students feeling a sense of belonging is important for both individuals and for institutions due to its impact on engagement and attainment." Now, you could imagine from the perspective of a college level, if this is important, how important it would be from the context of elementary or middle school context. People who are young and formative and really need to have these social networks in order to grow and to thrive. So, with that said, being social is difficult enough. I'm on the more extroverted side of things, and maybe that's why I'm pretty decent at talking to a camera like this, but not everybody is, and it can be difficult for some people who decide to go to event A, B, or C. But not only that, imagine having to have an added disadvantage on top of the fact that you are having a rough time socializing. It just makes it that much harder for people. Because if you have that social disadvantage where you can't feel like you fit in, and that added crux of having some sort of disability, whether mental or physical, can be detrimental to your development. And not only that, but it's just a matter of self-perception as well, and that has both short and long-term effects. In fact, I remember the person who I know who has a disability, they had issues with not having a lot of self-esteem, to the point where they would say things like, "I hate myself," before they were 5 years old even. Or even something like physically injuring themselves in order to try to cope, as almost like a coping mechanism. Again, in not quite toddler years, but early elementary years. And they didn't understand kind of the impact of this, but they just knew that they weren't quite right, that they didn't quite fit in a social context. And this can lead to lashing out among others as well, who invade your personal space or don't quite understand the context in which you fit into. So This kind of reminds me of a specific scene in the movie that references a recording of sorts that's taken in secret, just to kind of reference a specific part that kind of delves into that a little bit more. And it's all because you don't understand why people treat you the way they do, or even if you do understand that, you don't like the way that you are, and it's because of the way that others aren't like you, that they can't quite fit in with you. I remember for the person that I know who has this disability, they had to go to a specific school with other people who had similar problems so that they could be worked on and still be within a society of their peers, which was great. And I'm not saying you need to take these people away from the people that they are familiar with, but what I am saying is that it can help to have people who, first off, know how to deal with your specific issue, and that's done in a silent voice as well for Shoko. And it can also help to just have other peers who are dealing with the same thing. Not that there has to be a specific school for those people, but so long as you have people who are willing to help you and train you along the way, and have others around you, a network of people, it can make the process so much easier. So let's get into bullying a little bit, because that's the other flip side aspect of this. And bullying can have tangible effects, and it's why it's such a big kind of impact on this movie. In fact, there was a study done on people who have stammers and the effects of bullying and what that does. Not even deaf, but people who have a stammer. And it says these difficulties are related to their disfluency. The effects of bullying itself then has both short and long-term consequences, including effects on academic work, but primarily in areas of personal relationships, self-esteem, and depression. These are not small things. These are very large things to have issues with. And then on top of that, gaps in social inclusion by disability status also have been shown by others, particularly with relation to participation in social and extracurricular activities. So these two things combined, depression and social disclusion. You feel isolated, you feel depressed, you feel low self-esteem, you don't have many relationships, your academic work suffers. There is so much that can occur because of bullying on top of already having some sort of even minor issue such as a stammer. A stammer is not even, it doesn't need services to the amount of somebody who is deaf or somebody who maybe has autism and is nonverbal. And yet these people still get bullied and have long-term side effects that amount to life-altering conditions like depression and self-esteem issues. The point that I would make with all of this, and the point that I think the movie kind of does a good job covering, and why it's so important a movie to me, is the aspect of being able to ask for forgiveness. And that's a really difficult thing, because bullying on its surface won't be stopped. And children especially aren't really good at dealing with people who are different than them fundamentally for one reason or another. Their little brains can't quite get to the fact that, oh, this person just doesn't have this part about them, right? They might understand what condition they have, like a person might understand that Shoko's deaf, but they might not understand how to properly communicate with that person or be willing to try to alter their pattern of communication because it's outside of what their brain considers to be normal. And so because of that, I can't say that I think that bullying is just going to go away overnight, especially for those children who have disabilities and are in that public school environment. It's always probably going to be hard for them in one regard or another, but as somebody who has seen somebody who has disabilities, if you, years later, have the respect to go up to that person and say, hey, I wronged you, I bullied you in this way, or I treated you differently because of this or that, I have egads more respect for you as a person. And look, it might not ever quite get to the point where you can forgive their actions, but it does help you have a little bit more forgiveness in your heart for the person themselves, because those long-term consequences might happen, and they might have been because of a certain person, and you might have issues go on later in life because of what happened in your formative years. I understand all of that, but I know that, at least from my perspective, if you can raise a person to look back on what they've done and say, you know what, I did something wrong, and I'm going to go and I'm going to fix that. It means so much in this world where there isn't enough people going back and saying, look, I was wrong. I was the person who was at fault. And that is why I fundamentally believe, as somebody who has seen people with mental disabilities have to struggle through certain parts of their life to get to a better place, it really just resonated with me, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And it was really a powerful movie, and I would recommend it to any of you viewers watching. I'm going to pretty much complete my rant now on a silent voice, but it really hit home to me, and I really wanted to make a video, but I wanted to cover it very delicately because it covers something that is just so near and dear and personal to me. So, once again, if you like this video, you can leave a like. If you want to see more topical videos like this, please, please, please let me know in the comments, and maybe kind of any outlines or thoughts on some topics that I could cover, or any movies that you guys want me to watch. I'm open to absolutely anything in the anime sphere that might resonate with me, kind of like this did. But all of that said, I hope you enjoyed. I've been Gelswick, and I'll see you guys next time.